Hi, and welcome to Z Games. Recorded live at 4ZZZ Studios in Brisbane and broadcast nationally over the Community Radio Network, Z Games brings you the latest gaming news, reviews and interviews from across Australia and around the world.
You're listening to Z Games, your favourite gaming radio show. We are coming to you live from the 4ZZZ Studios in Brisbane. You might be listening to us around the nation on the Community Radio Network. I am Lee. Joining me in the studio for this episode, Razor, of course.
Hello.
He's the only man who knows how to run the machines. We can't do this without him. Our imp is in the station again, Sean.
Hello.
There he is. He's young, but don't hold that against him. And Cameron, you're our special guest tonight.
G'day.
There he is.
Yay.
You're many things.
Some of them we can't talk about here, but yes.
Yes. Well, we can say that you're a cartoonist.
Sure.
You've got a web comic about gaming.
Blowthecartridge.com.
There it is.
Fantastic. There's my plug. See you later.
Yeah. Yeah. Always be marketing. That's some good stuff.
Absolutely.
But you are here this episode specifically to talk about
Smash Bros.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we'll get to that later.
Absolutely.
Razor, what's happening?
Well, in addition to Super Smash Bros., I'll be talking about Evolve. There was a closed beta for the PC which was held over the weekend, and I got a chance to get a few hours in and check out the game.
Excellent. That'll be fun. Big monsters.
Yep.
Right.
Also, we might be taunting Sean.
Yeah, we'll be
That's
doing.
going to be something that's going to be happening over the whole hour of the show.
I am not aware of this.
Should we start throwing things at him now or later?
I brought tomatoes.
Just don't hit the face, please.
It's young. It'll bounce back.
This is really not reassuring. Please leave me alone.
But let's put Sean to work. He is our minion after all. The Week in Gaming News headlines, Sean.
Sure thing. I think I can do it better if you remove these chains.
No.
Okay,
You
fine.
do it in the chains.
Yes, sir. Hotline Miami 2 Wrong Number has been refused classification in Australia due to a sequence in the game that implies sexual violence. The game's publisher, Devolver Digital, has said that it will neither contest the decision or submit an edited version for Australian audiences, meaning that the game cannot be legally sold, hired, demonstrated, or advertised here. A statement from the publisher noted that there was a warning at the beginning of the game, as well as an option to skip scenes featuring sexual violence. Gaming website Oxygen reported... Sorry, I have no idea, I'm just a minion. Reported that when an Australian fan asked how he could obtain the game, lead designer Jonathan Soderstrom said, "If it ends up not being released in Australia, just pirate it after release. No need to send us money, just enjoy the game."
That's a complicated one to unpack.
Yeah.
Like, this is not a hill I want to die on, you know? and that's all we've had lately, culturally.
Hills to die on?
Yeah, just really crappy hills to die on, though. You know?
I don't like this scene. I don't like this. I never liked the first game.
Oh, okay.
So this is okay, great. But
Yeah, I don't need this scene in Hotline Miami.
Well, personally, my taste is anything darker than the Muppet Show. I'm like, nah, that's it. I'm out.
Yeah.
So this is very not my cup of tea.
Well, yeah, I'm conflicted as well. On one side, I've got my distaste of sexual violence.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
That's a no-brainer. That's a no-brainer.
We shouldn't have to lead with that.
On the other hand, I've got my thing about freedom of expression and freedom of, artistic creation and all of that stuff. Now, is it the government's responsibility to say, hey, you can't play this game because we don't think it's appropriate? I don't think so. I think it's up to the consumer, each individual, to decide for themselves and their family. And I think that the way they chose to do it, by putting a warning at the start of the game and with a very clear option of what this game contains and an option to bypass it, I think that's the decision that works well for me. Being someone who wants to choose for themselves what content I consume.
Yeah, like, we have an R18 rating, supposedly, to allow for stuff like this to be available for sale, but...
Well, like, I read through the report and everything like that, and it was, like, clearly, obviously, a breach of...
Yeah.
This is not going to get an R18.
Yeah.
This has gone beyond that line.
Yeah.
So they did their job, refusing classification. I get that. But, man, it's just... The other problem is piracy okay now?
Yeah.
If I was the distributor of the game and I tied up the Australian rights to it, and then the developer went, "Yeah, go and pirate it," whew, that's a tough conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just the ugliest possible ending to this.
To
really.
an ugly game.
Yeah. I really enjoyed Hotline Miami.
Cool.
It was a fun, weird thing that seemed to glorify violence, and then at the very end of each awful act would kind of like rub your face in it.
Right.
And like that's a really easy thing for games to do these days. That whole like, oh, now what's the deal with you enjoying violence, you weird violent jerk. Like we've had,
Yeah.
I can hammer off a list of games that are doing that to earn critical acclaim. But it was mechanically it was cool. It was lurid and weird and aesthetically unlike a lot of things. I really, really wish they hadn't decided to lead with that scene.
Yeah.
Well, if you view the scene on YouTube, which you can,
Yeah.
there is a bit of that commentary going on. It's not like, hey, I'm a sexual perpetrator, and this is glorifying you and your actions. It's the scene in question is a movie script. It's like you're on a film studio and you're an actor playing out this violent film, and it's sort of a commentary on what sort of entertainment that we consume and how extreme it is now. So there is context and there is a little bit of social commentary there. It's not just the glorification of sexual violence.
But is that particularly clever commentary?
Yeah, I feel like they're trying to have their cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we're going to put this stuff up on the screen, but it's okay, we're being ironic.
Yeah.
That only lasts so long.
In the end, though, like, I would like to be able to be angry about this being included in a retail product rather than complain about something that's never going to come in anyway.
Yeah.
Like, that's the end result. Like, people should be allowed to put rubbish things in their art, and I should then be allowed to point out that they're gross and awful for doing that.
Yeah. The one thing that also annoys me is there's no real equivalency between mediums. I mean, think about if we banned every film or book that had depictions of sexual violence. Well, a lot of the great movies that we've seen wouldn't be allowed to be shown here.
Yeah. Yeah.
In short, no one wins.
No one has won
No
here.
one.
Keep going, young Sean.
Yes, sir. An in-development game that would have allowed players to control North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un as he fights the entire American army has been cancelled after the developer was hacked, locking them out of their own databases and website. The game, called Glorious Leader, was to be funded through crowdfunding website Kickstarter, though it had only received $17,000 in pledges at the time of the hack, well below the campaign's target of $55,000. Developer Moneyhorse issued a statement saying that they would be cancelling the project and admitted that even before the hack took place, they had made critical mistakes in scoping the project. They also said that they had no reason to believe that the hack was perpetrated by GOP, the hacker group responsible for the recent Sony Pictures hack that led to the studio cancelling the release of The Interview, a comedy film depicting an assassination attempt on North Korea's supreme leader.
That sounds like a game I'd actually want to play. I just got this mental image of like this Dynasty Warriors kind of thing where like
Yeah.
Kim Jong-un's running through the crowds and smacking people about. That could be funny.
It was more like Contra, actually.
Oh, okay.
It's like side-scrolling 2D. You got a machine gun and you're just mowing down American soldiers.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's funny. That'll be one of those play it for 5 minutes kind of deal and go, okay, get the jag.
Yeah, like if that were on like Newsgrounds,
Yes.
you'd be
Yes.
like, yeah, this is hilarious. He's put a lot of effort into this.
Yeah, I'm playing for 5 minutes and moving on.
Not necessarily $55,000 worth of entertainment
Yeah.
there.
Turns out it costs a lot of money to make a 2D platform.
It really does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Alrighty, well that's it for this week in gaming news headlines. Thank you very much, Sean the Minion.
You're listening to Zed Games. That was MC Chris with Nerd Cave. You are listening to the fantastic voices of Razor. Sean, I'm Lee, and our special guest is Cam. You are going to be talking to us later on about Smash Brothers.
Smash Bros.
But right now, Ray, you spent your weekend, instead of doing something productive, you were playing Evolve. You were playing the PC beta of
That's
Evolve.
right.
Tell us about Evolve.
Well, it is a 5-player arena battle game. One player takes on the role of the monster, and the other 4 take on the roles of the monster hunters. It's made by the same team who did the Left 4 Dead games. which is of course the 4-player monster horde shooting game. So the 4 players take on different roles, much like something like Team Fortress 2. There's an assault guy, there's a support guy, a medic, and a trapper. Mm-hmm. And each of these guys have like different abilities. In order to capture the monster, everyone has to work together.
Right, so how does the evolve part of the title come into it?
Well, as the monster, your primary goal, as well as to kill all of the players, after which you win, is to eat the wildlife scattered around the map. And once you eat a certain amount of animals, you evolve to the next level, granting you additional powers, and you get bigger and become more powerful. And vanquishing the hunters becomes more easy as well.
Are the monster hunters notified when you level up?
Yes.
Okay, alright. I imagine that it would be quite fun to just see all of a sudden, if they're leveling up quite fast, to just see a highly evolved monster just running at you very fast.
Well, they're massive as well, right?
About as big as a house.
Wow.
That's pretty big.
Yeah. So I got a chance to play as both the monster and a couple of the classes of Monster Hunter. Mm-hmm. As the monster, you feel extremely powerful and you feel extremely aware. You play in the third-person perspective, and the field of view is quite large. Mm-hmm. So you're always aware of what's going on at any one time. Additionally, you can just push a button and it will tell you where all of the players are on the map. You get that kind of silhouette that comes up, and you can see through foliage and structures and things. So wherever on the map they are, you can always see them. You've got a bunch of really powerful abilities that are on really short cooldowns. Mm-hmm. The monster I played, which is called the Goliath, is a bit slow and a bit sluggish, but it has a charge that you can probably run about 200 meters in a very short amount of time. You've got a ground smash, so you can jump off cliffs and smash the ground below, as well as a rock smash, and you can breathe fire as well.
That's handy.
Yeah. So you feel very powerful, and it's pretty awesome being the monster, and it seems like the odds are stacked against the players a little bit as far as power goes, although the game is quite balanced generally.
Is this one of these things where it's just everyone's just trying to shoot each other, or can you do different things to like trap the monster? Does the monster have different objectives besides just shooting the guys?
Well, the aim of the game is to win, and you do that by defeating the enemy, right?
Yeah.
Eating the creatures is sort of just like a side activity that you can do if you want to become more powerful.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do the different classes interact with one another?
So there's an assault guy whose goal it is to deal damage, surprisingly. There's a support, and he has a shield. So he can shield the assault guy when he's taking the brunt of the damage. He's also got a nuke. He can call in a tactical strike from above to destroy the monster like once every couple of minutes. The medic heals everyone. And then you've got the trapper as well, who can slow the monster down so it can't get away when everyone's there. Now, working together has its advantages. So everyone using their abilities in a cooperative way is key. But at the same time, when you're bunched together, it makes it easier for the monster to smash you with his ground pound or like one of his abilities. It's sort of easier when they're all grouped together to take everyone out at once.
Right. So this is the sort of thing where you want to be playing with people online, but you also want to be playing with a good group of people, because if like a small group of 4, like if any one of those people is like just not bringing their A game, maybe they're distracted by the toast that they're eating and chewing into the mic. Like, does that make it suddenly no more fun for the other people who are on the hunter side of things? How does that work?
I think that's the case in most multiplayer games, especially shooter team-based games like this. But, when I was playing, everyone was pretty much incompetent for the most part, because it's
Equally incompetent.
incompetent,
Right.
yeah, because it's just everyone's first time playing. No one's been playing for more than a few hours. Although some of the people that were playing the monster were already employing some advanced tactics. Well, advanced in my book anyway, by killing the medic and the support guy first. That's actually quite smart, isn't it? Because the medic heals and the support guy has a shield. So you want to take those guys down as quickly as possible.
So how long do does an average game last? Like, if you're grouped with someone who is reasonably terrible, how long are you trapped in hell with them?
Yeah.
They're around 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's 15 minutes of hell, which is quite a short amount of time.
That's good compared to a Left 4 Dead campaign, which could be like an hour or more, depending on how many times you would fail just because of that person's incompetence. So that's really good news to hear that soon you can just go back into the lobby and find a better player.
Yeah.
So Left 4 Dead was also fixated on multiplayer, but at the same time it was about delivering that narrative through the use of the environment. You were traveling through and you got a sense of story and of progression there. But from my understanding of Evolve, you're kind of in just these large wildernessy areas. Do they employ anything like that, or is it just purely like, here's an arena, there's a monster, here's some dudes?
It's hard to say because I only got to play a couple of maps and a couple of characters and stuff. So I didn't really get a chance of how playing the game would feel if you were going to play it for an extended period, if there was any narrative there. But there is an introductory video that sets up the world and sets up the scenario. But yeah, the gameplay is just basically an arena with the monster versus the four guys.
Is there much of a map variation between the different? Like, are there different maps? Is there enough to keep you coming back?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, it felt really good. Like, the game is really well made. It's Turtle Rock, so they've got a reputation for polished, awesome products. So it feels really good. I mean, as a hunter, you're in the first person perspective, so they've nailed that sort of gameplay with the Left 4 Dead. And it also works to balance the game as well, because being able to see just such a small distance in front of you in the first person, it makes you feel a bit vulnerable, as opposed to the monster that can see almost like 10% of the map in just a single camera frame.
Right.
Yeah.
Which one did it feel better playing as?
It's hard to say. I think it will depend on the play style. Like, if you're a co-op guy, then you'll want to play as one of the hunters. If you're a solo player, then playing the monster is quite a good challenge. I didn't really get to play enough of the game to decide which one I would prefer to play as, but I liked being the support guy, having the shield, having the power to save my friends, as well as the nuke. It was a lot of fun.
It's very passive-aggressive.
Yeah.
Do you get much of a choice on whether you're the monster or whether you're the hunter when you join like a pug lobby?
Yeah, well, you have to set a priority table at the start. So it asks you before you start playing, which would you prefer to play as the most, and then you can choose each of the four classes and the monster, and then it goes down to which one would you prefer to play as the least. And so you might get the monster sometimes when that's your least favored position, but it'll try and match you up in that position if possible, in your favored one.
Do you feel like there's much depth there, like in the way that you can use your abilities, or like is there going to be a meta game for learning new ways of playing with these tools that you've got?
That's something that I can't really definitively say at this point, only having played a few matches.
I just want an opinion, damn it. What's it feel like?
Yeah, look, it feels good.
Yeah.
Like, it's really fun to play. It's different as well.
Yeah.
It's a lot different to a lot of the other team-based or arena shoot-'em games,
The shoot-'ems.
The shoot-'ems.
Well,
Yeah.
because I'm asking because, the last year we've had a bunch of people who have a reputation for making really good first-person shooters decide to pursue a primarily multiplayer route, right?
Yep.
So we had Respawn bring out Titanfall, we had Bungie with Destiny, and in both cases, it's a lot of build-up, everyone's like, this is it, this is the new FPS, and then it's good, but, like, no one's, like, playing Titanfall anymore.
Yeah.
Like, at all.
We're very nomadic in that sense. We kind of go, okay, this is our new home for the next 3 months. We're just going to play this.
Yeah, but, like, people are still playing Counter-Strike. People are still
True.
playing Team
Yeah.
Fortress. These are games that they've
Yeah.
got legs. Whereas there's something about, like, all this flashy reinvention. And there are so many good ideas in both Titanfall and Destiny. Like, why are these games not, like, sticking with us? And this is my fear, is that the same thing has happened here, where Turtle Rock have got one element that they did really, really well, and maybe abandoned the other thing that actually made that game memorable and made it like eminently replayable.
Are you talking about the characterization?
Like the characterization, as well as just that the flow that game had.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like they had that AI in there that determined the pacing of the game and change it up based on how you were playing. And here you've got a completely different thing with, like, the cool thing of the giant monster is a dude that, you know, screw that guy. He deserves, that's fantastic. But my fear is that there's beyond that. I don't know what else there will be in the game, and maybe you will actually get sick of that. Maybe there's not enough pieces there.
Well, that could very well be the case. If you remember Titanfall and Destiny, they both had really good, they did really well in the beta, right?
Yeah.
Like, out of the beta, everyone was like, this is the next big thing, this is awesome. And so I think we got the same thing with Evolve. There's a really good positive word of mouth. Only having played the limited amount of stuff that they've shown us. Now, there might be depth beyond that. It might just be like a popcorn snack, you know, really tasty up front, but ultimately void of nutrition in the long game, you know. So I can't really say that. I will say it is up front very fun.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool action there. It's a bit different, and it's very polished. But what sort of long-term life this game has, I can't tell at this point.
We can go back to that popcorn analogy, because popcorn is also cheap, whereas Evolve is
Very not cheap.
yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
you wanna lead with this?
Well, there was that whole mixed messaging about the DLC where it was like, oh, the DLC is going to be free for everyone. We're making new monsters and new subclasses. And now it's like, what is it, $25 for the new monster? And like,
Yeah.
what is going on here?
Well, apparently the new monster that costs $25 is the best monster.
oh, well.
Oh,
That's
good.
fine then.
And if
Please
you're...
charge me for that.
Well, it's
Don't
got
put it in
like
the
a
box.
short-range teleport and like cool new abilities. So if you're the sort of player that would like to play the monster, then you really don't have a choice because it's the coolest one.
But who says it's the coolest one? Is it the people charging us $25
Yeah.
for it?
The people
They say,
who-
oh, this is definitely worth the money.
Yeah,
This
like
is terrible. Don't buy this one, guys.
the guys who like held off on all the cool powers for the gold-plated one that cost $25 on top of the purchase. Like why do this? Like, it seems like it's already kind of potentially underweight when it comes to features.
Yeah. And if you're playing against someone who spent $25 on a particular monster, you already know how good they are at the game because they're dedicating $25
Yeah.
to that monster. And like it just seems like a bit of a peculiar thing. If they want people to stay around and they want longevity, surely having a massive upfront cost to have slight variations in the game is not the best way to do it
Yeah.
if we're unsure about the single player.
Yeah.
Well, now you can get killed by that monster for free,
Oh, fun.
repeatedly. So
To taunt you on how good this would be if you spend half, like a quarter of a normal priced game.
How great would it be is after you were killed by that monster, it just comes up and says, hey, wouldn't it be great to do this to someone else? Click this link to automatically purchase this monster.
it's really funny, I think, because they've chosen to charge full price for this game. You know, it's going to be $79 or $89 when it comes out, I think. Don't
Yeah.
quote me on that. And then a further $25 to $30 for the DLC, you know, depending on local pricing. But other studios are putting out games like this as a free-to-play.
Yeah.
And they just charge you for the character skins and maybe a few weapon side grades. And that's good enough. But here, they haven't gone that way. And it seems like that maybe that's a missed opportunity.
And the thing is, how many extra monsters are they planning? Have they released that yet?
How many can they sell?
Exactly. Like if they're going to release like a variety of maybe 3 different monsters,
Yep.
what is the purpose of charging $25 for each one if you can't even like try them? Even if there's like a trial option, it still seems like a pointless barrier. Like I'd even be hesitant to spend more than $10 or like on a particular thing like that in an already full price game. That's why I'm so happy to spend money on League of Legends or Heroes of the Storm. Not like that on a it just seems way too ridiculous for me. Maybe that's because I'm a high school student and I don't have much money, but I know that even in the case for people who have, you know, jobs and a lot of money, it would still be a bit of a pain in the ass.
Yeah, well, it's just the fact you have to double dip.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah, yeah.
just wait a year from now. The Game of the Year edition will come out. It'll have everything on the same disc, and
Yeah.
But then no one will be playing it. We would have
Exactly.
moved on to the next
That's
thing.
the worst part.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like I don't see this as being something that we're going to be like playing at Christmas when the monster comes out wearing the Christmas hat, right?
I'm worried about it from a gameplay balance point of view, because if that's supposedly the best monster, well, then there's already a gameplay balance inequity there, where like I'm fighting, I don't have the best equipment because I'm not the best monster, or I'm fighting against the best monster with bad guys, and
And that's the thing about longevity. I still play Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2.
Yeah.
And I made a one-time purchase, and they released free DLC, and it was fantastic. Every single second of playing that game it's still one of my favorite games. And that got me really excited about Evolve in the first. Oh,
Yeah.
it's another game
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
I'm a single-player man. I would like try and play expert and fail miserably because the AI sucked. But like I would spend a lot of time in that game single player. And the only thing that would make me really come back to Evolve is if they had like a compelling single player. So what I want to know is the single player, like I know they haven't released much about it for you to play, but would you be able to play as the $25 monster in single player, or is that locked off too?
Yeah. You
Like-
can fight against it in single player for free, but to actually play as it, that's $25.
Okay.
I think one of the horrible things they've done here is here's the game, and on day one you're already being sold something else. You know, it's like, give it 3 months, guys. Just let us play the game, and then, oh wow, something new's coming out for it? Awesome. I'll pay for that. I'm happy to do that.
Because,
Yeah.
you can get away with the lie that you didn't pre-plan your DLC if it takes 3 months.
Yeah,
like if on the
exactly.
first day, you're like, here's this stuff, we couldn't put it in the box.
Yeah, we're waiting for player feedback. We're waiting to get real numbers in on data so we can adjust difficulties.
Yeah.
Not this.
Yeah, I mean, Capcom had a backlash for withholding some fighters from the Street Fighter game,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
This is exactly the same thing. And in that case, the fighters were already on the disc. And that was sort of something that everyone else was angry about as well.
Yeah, it left a bad taste in my mouth. I mean, I still gave them money. Don't get me wrong. Didn't enjoy doing it. I still only play as Ryu anyway.
That's the real tragedy here, is that we'll complain as we hand over the money for the $25 monster.
Yeah. Modern gaming.
Well, we've been talking about Evolve, which comes out for PC, PS4, and the Xbox One on the 11th of February. We might follow that one up and see if that is indeed worth the money. All right, you're listening to Z Games on Triple Z 102.1 FM. Next up, we'll be talking about Super Smash Bros.
Smash Bros.
Now you're listening to Z Games. My name's Razor, joined by Sean the Minion, Mr. Lee, and special guest Cameron.
G'day.
Now, Super Smash Bros. Is, on paper, the most awesome thing ever. All of your Nintendo favorite characters, all in one arena, just like beating the hell out of each other.
Yeah, so 15 years ago today, the first Smash Brothers game came out on the Nintendo 64.
We planned that.
Yeah, good.
We
Good work,
absolutely did.
Well-oiled machine,
Yeah.
Z Games. 12 characters, 8 of which were first playable, and it was basically 4 simple characters in an arena just smacking the living silliness out of each other. One of its big selling points, for me at least, was that you could smack Pikachu in the face. Being into Pokemon at the time, that was a big stress relief for me at the end of the day, just smack him across the screen. And it's... To try to explain Smash Brothers as a fighting game, imagine on one end of the scale you have the simplicity of something really old, such as Karate Champ, which is 2 characters on the screen, 16 moves, very slow. They're all real-world moves. And then you slide up to the other end of the silliness, craziness fighting game scale, which is, say, Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which is just a hot mess of light and colour and sound and movement, and it's incomprehensible to most people. Smash Brothers is more towards that side of thing when it's played really, really well, and it's more towards the lower end of the spectrum when it's played by incompetent chumps like everyone in this room, because we are all incompetent chumps compared to some proper pro players.
Yep.
Every character has a bunch of special moves, and of course they're all Nintendo, or not all Nintendo characters, but they started off being all Nintendo characters. So Mario's got his Fireball, and he's also got his little push attacks. He's got the Mario Sunshine Water Cannon in the latest version. Toad has special. Bowser has his fire-breathing attack, and Princess Peach has her umbrella she can smack people around with, and all that kind of stuff. So, in a sense, it's almost like sumo wrestling in that the aim is to push the other players out of the arena. The more you smack them about, the higher their damage goes, and the more they're susceptible to being pushed out of the arena. So you can attack them, and it won't do much damage. It won't push them very far back, but later on, if you give them a punch in the face, they go flying.
That's one of the things that people who are fresh to the game series kind of have to wrap their heads around. It's not like a traditional, like a Street Fighter where you just have to beat the other person until they're dead.
Yeah.
In this game, it is all about being able to not just like hit someone until you can actually knock them off the stage, but also then to be able to master your moveset. Because all of your moves are also recovery moves, right?
Yeah.
So if you get knocked off, you can generally do something to end up back on the stage. And that's when the real, like, that's the high level play, is being able to know how to use your what seem like combat moves to get yourself back
Absolutely.
onto the arena.
Positioning is also a really important strategy in Smash Brothers, where it's not so much in something like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter. In Street Fighter, you're basically a certain amount of distance from another player, and nothing really changes that much. But because the levels in Smash Brothers use height a lot more, and there's platforms, and the platforms move around, and you're always in a different position, and because it's 4 players, there's other characters instead of just the one person you need to be looking at.
So it's actually it's a very technical and complex,
Deceptively technical.
fighting game, but at the same time it's also bright and colourful, and things are constantly falling on the screen that you can use to like completely change the balance of play. Like, you can get a thing that will cause one of the Nintendogs to pop his head up in front of the screen and block everyone's view for like 20 seconds as he licks the inside of your TV screen.
It is so incredibly, adoringly annoying.
Yeah.
Like,
It's really complicated and yet also completely saccharine and crazy.
Yeah.
And somehow it kind of works.
It does, because it's consistent about that. And one of the things I really enjoy about Smash Brothers, as opposed to something like Street Fighter, where I traditionally only play as one character, every character in Smash Brothers, when you first start playing it, you think to yourself, oh, this guy's ridiculously overpowered. This is the best character. I'm never choosing anyone ever again. And you just start smacking people around left, right, and center. And then you get beaten. And then you choose someone else. And it actually encourages you to mix and match and try different characters. Because the next person you play, this guy's the best character.
Yeah. So it's a series that has been really embraced by a strange, like, cadre of hardcore players, right?
Yeah. Well, it's the only real fighting game on a Nintendo platform,
Yeah,
really.
yeah. And it plays very differently to everything else. So it's got that level of Nintendo polish, and then it also, it's this unique little thing. And so people really clung to particularly the GameCube version.
Yeah. Brawl.
Yeah, which is now, like, how many years?
What was that, 2003?
Yeah.
Something like
Something close to that.
Wasn't it Melee? on
Melee
GameCube?
was... Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, now Brawl is the Wii one. So the Wii one people don't talk about.
Yeah.
Because it was bad. It was a step back. Yeah, all right, young man here is...
I don't know how. I played 64.
Yeah,
I played Brawl, and
I
I
know.
thought Brawl was fantastic.
Yeah, but see, you're not a technical player like these guys. Like the hardcore, they don't consider it. It doesn't exist to them.
Because okay, well, I'm not even going to try to comprehend some of the incredible strategies. I've seen some of the videos, like even the famous ones, like That Ain't Falco and all that kind of stuff. That's hilarious and unbelievable to understand how they can master such complexity.
Oh, those people are playing on a whole different level.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but there are changes that occurred between the GameCube one and the Wii one that were supposed to be, balance things or things to make it easier to come to terms with, and yeah, the hardcore just disowned it. Not interested. Which is why this was always going to be an interesting thing to see whether they would make the shift.
Is it a return to form? And absolutely, I do think it is.
Yeah.
I think it's absolutely the best Smash Brothers game yet.
You're listening to Z Games on 4ZZZ. We are talking about Smash Bros, specifically the Wii U and the 3DS versions. Lee, tell us about these versions.
So the 3DS version is the first one that came out. There was a demo that popped up.
It had like 3 characters, something like that.
Yeah.
And everyone was scrambling for codes.
Everyone was very excited that Smash Brothers was coming to the portable.
Well, it's the first time it's been on a handheld system.
Yeah.
So it felt great to be able to go anywhere and play it, and if anyone else has a copy, you can play it with them over the wireless link. And we knew online play was coming, and it was like, oh my god, this is going to be the perfect game.
But Smash Brothers is, it's a competitive game, so its multiplayer is where the main focus is. But portable gaming tends to run into issues there, and Nintendo have never been excellent with their network code and all of that sort of stuff. So.
Yeah, which is what really surprised me, because this actually has held up pretty well for me over the last couple of weeks. Of course, local multiplayer works flawlessly. You can get a couple of people in a room and play Smash, and it's quick and responsive, and there's no loss of frames or anything like that. That's great. Even online, the lobbies are always full, because I've never not had a 4-player match when I needed one. And B, the responsiveness has generally been pretty good. There's been a couple of times where the action slows down a bit. And it's interesting, actually, instead of missing frames, which is what a lot of fighting games do, it just slows everything down.
Yeah.
So for a couple of seconds, every couple of minutes, you're like playing underwater.
That's weird.
But everyone else is fighting against the same thing, so it's not like you're at a disadvantage against everyone else. Everyone else is having the same horrible time at the same time.
Good to know.
Yeah.
So
So I was surprised. It worked well.
What are the features that are specific to the 3DS? Because it's got some cool stuff that isn't in the...
Okay,
the
so not being in depth with the Wii U version yet, because I still have yet to get one. If the wife's listening, hello.
Christmas is coming
Christmas
up.
is coming up. All right, so one of the things I really enjoy is, of course, the online multiplayer of... you've got the original Smash mode, which is like back in the Nintendo 64, there was a single-player campaign where you fought a couple of guys and then fought the Master Hand, and that's in there again. You can unlock figurines and statues. You can... in February, there'll be Amiibo support. Hurry up. I want to spend money on Amiibo. There's spectate mode. Now, we were talking during the break about Evo and tournaments and watching people play, and it's actually one of my favourite features, is just being able to fire up spectate and watch other people play. You can, of course, bet on them. I'm sure that's in the Wii U version as well, where you can go, I think that person is going to beat that person, and you bet gold coins on them, which do nothing really. But, it feels good to be able to go, yeah, I totally backed that guy, anonymous stranger on the internet, go you. And it's like, I just leave it running in the background while I've got the laptop doing something else, and you just like watching a Twitch stream of really good players playing Smash Brothers, and you end up learning a lot from that as well. There's team multiplayer and team single player as well, so you can go up against, you can team up with a CPU or a human player and go up against other human players or CPUs. Yeah, it's Smash Bros. In your hand.
My one concern, the reason why I bought the Wii U version instead of the 3DS one, is because I kind of imagined playing on my 3DS, even though I've got an XL, I just imagined, because my experience with Smash Bros. Is so frenetic and it's so fast and everything's really quickly moving, I thought that it would be very difficult to play, considering the characters in context are quite small.
Okay, yeah. Yes, you're definitely going to need an XL screen for this. I tried it on the regular 3DS and even the new 3DS regular size, and it's okay on the new 3DS size, but you need a 3DS XL or a new 3DS XL to really maximize that. Even with the 3D running, you don't actually lose a lot of resolution. The one time where it's a big deal is when all 4 characters are on totally opposite sides of the maps, and your characters turn into a couple of dots. Now, Nintendo have tried to get around that by going, okay, we're going to add this nice thick black outline to your characters, which you can turn off in one of the submenus, which helps for a second, but generally you're going to find even subconsciously heading towards the other players just to get a better view of what's going on.
Okay. So it's never really a major concern that it's on a smaller screen.
No, and like honestly, the 3DS XL screen's big enough to handle that kind of thing. Yeah, it's fine.
That's great. I kind of imagine it would be the same thing as playing it on the Wii U gamepad, but just a little bit smaller than that.
Yeah, lower. That's when you get into the lower resolution. You really do notice the jagginess comparatively, especially when you got the 3D on.
Okay. Yeah.
Because you lose half your resolution because of that.
So, Sean, you picked up the Wii U version on Friday.
Yes, so I have had a small level of experience with it, but already within playing just a little bit of it, I found the experience to be incredibly smooth. The menu was immediately responsive and fantastic. I was pressured into buying an amiibo by one of those crafty little marketing people at the game store, because apparently, right, there's such a massive rush for amiibos, and we should talk about what amiibos actually are for those who aren't aware.
So plastic figurines that cost, $13 a piece, something like that,
that.
depending on where you get them, or $150 on eBay.
Hey.
Where-
Skylanders toys.
It's like Skylanders toys, and you put them on your Wii U controller or your new 3DS, and it unlocks a character that you can then save data to, and your character will get stronger the more you play with it.
And I've heard some fantastic stories about a kind of Skynet level of intelligence forming within the amiibo, and eventually you're able to kick its ass. But within a couple of hours of game time, you will be losing every time, and it will be miserable. I've heard that the character that is an NPC can learn to taunt you in the game.
Oh my god.
After you do it enough to it.
That's great though, because it has a physical representation, and I'm pretty certain even if it can beat me in the game, I can kick the crap out of a 3-inch tall plastic Mario.
It's very cathartic.
So it better watch itself. So I've been playing the Wii U version as well. I had Jody and Razor over. We played some extended Smash Brothers. Ray, you are not, a huge fan of the series.
Not really. Mostly because I'm rubbish at it.
Yeah,
It's a bit too fast for me.
yeah.
It's very, very fast. It's quick action, and I find it a bit hard to to understand everything that's going on in the one moment.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I know it's a good game, and I've owned most of them and played them all extensively, and I still can't tell whether I like Smash Brothers or not. Because it's just, there's something about it that is inherently annoying, and I don't know what it is. I will go back and play more as soon as possible. It's addictive, but there's just something, there's a tediousness to it somehow, or maybe, I don't know, there's a smugness, there's something to it.
Do you feel like that no matter how much you're learning playing this game, you'll never know everything? And for some people, because we're gamers, we like to collect 100% of everything, right? Maybe there's that compulsion in you to go, I'll never know enough about this to be good at it.
I'm okay with that with other things, maybe I don't know what it is, it's just, it's if it were a person, it would be it'd have such a punchable face, it's just, I think Smash Brothers is smug somehow, that in a way that no other game is. Wow. Yeah.
Who's your favorite character?
Usually it's Kirby. I love Kirby. Kirby's been my main through all of them, but when I unlocked the Duck Hunt,
Yes.
Dog and Duck,
Oh, spoilers.
yeah,
Oh, no, come
Damn.
on. No.
I've been keeping my... No, that's fine.
yeah, I found a new alt. I think I really enjoy. That's a great combo. Well, there's a bunch of cool characters in there now. There's some that I don't care about at all, like the angel god woman from who's the also ran alongside
What, the Kid
Pit.
Icarus characters? Yeah, I'm the same with the Kid Icarus characters.
I'm fine with
because I was never a Kid Icarus guy.
Yeah, Pit's fine, but they don't need to be another version of him and then also some.
Oh, Dark Pit, yeah.
Yeah,
More spoilers. No.
there's a lot of characters from Japanese RPGs there, and they don't seem like they're bringing as much variety to the table as the robot that came with the Nintendo. That's
Yeah.
that's great. Mr. Game & Watch is terrible to play with, but
Yeah.
I'm so glad that he's in there.
Absolutely. He was
Yeah.
my favorite to unlock.
Yeah.
I'm really pleased that this is a fighting game that I'm genuinely passionate about pressing random before I start the game.
Yeah, yeah, that's
It's
great.
fantastic that, especially with a new version, that you're okay, sweet, I can explore a variety of different characters. I can play against 3 NPCs, all of them on random, and it's a fantastic experience as soon as you pick up the game.
Yeah.
It gets you straight into it, and it's one of the only games I'm comfortable in doing.
Yeah, it's there is so much content there, and even now that I've unlocked all of the characters, there's still so much stuff that I have to
Yeah.
that I could, and I'm annoyed actually that they've split their currency in two like that. So you can unlock everyone just by playing a lot of the game, but to get like the special outfits for your the Wii version of your fighter, where you can make there are versions of Jodie, myself, and Ray on my game now, and we all play very, very differently. Everyone has a different set of moves.
Who's the worst?
Probably Jodie. But that's maybe because he lacks enthusiasm.
And at least he's not in the room either.
Yeah.
Is that a character trait you can enable?
Yes.
Lacking
I think so.
enthusiasm, and they just kind of stand off in the corner for a little bit and then run back.
Listeners might be pleased to know that Razor is dressed as a cowboy.
That's my costume.
Yeah. And he was so happy to see that I had already done that for him. It's like, yeah, that's right. But yeah, you can unlock different abilities and different costumes and stuff, but to do that you have to play through the separate single player stuff, which is less fun than just smashing it with other dudes.
There was a bit of frustration for me where, like, oh, hey, you're playing on the F-Zero level, and there's Captain Falcon. I'm like, just release a new F-Zero game already. For the love of God. So mean.
It was fantastic, though, to play on the same levels. Even, like, the jump between Wii and Wii U is not that great, but it was still fantastic to jump back into Final Destination and the Hyrule one and the Spaceship one. I can't remember the names of those ones because they're not as cool. But, like, it's fantastic already just to see a high-definition version of this.
Yeah.
We've been talking about Super Smash Bros., which is out for the 3DS and the Wii U. Guys, we're going to have to wrap it up now because we're out of time. But Cam, thank you very much for joining us as our special guest.
Always a pleasure.
And if you'd like to see your web comics, where can we go?
Blowthecartridge.com. Thanks for mentioning that.
Hey, not a problem. All right. We'll get out of here now. We'll be back next week at the same time. We have a Facebook page. Please visit if you'd like to check out more about the show. Facebook.com/ZGamesAU. And we're going to leave you now with some more music. This one's by MC Frontalot. It's called Power User. We'll catch you guys next week.